Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today is Happy Paranormal Day, National Paranormal Day. So, we just want to welcome everybody to come in and listen, sit for a spell, listen to our stories, and please comment if you have a story or something too. My cousin Nico is with us
Hi,
tonight,
guys.
and we have um, Misty, Tracy, Briar, and Medium Red to come up and tell you their stories too. Hi, Misty. Hi,
Hello.
hello, Briar,
Hello.
and hello, Medium Red.
Hello, Sister Chrissy.
So,
Hi, everybody.
and thank you all for coming for last minute. I mean, this is something that Nico and I was talking about. We thought, should we do something? And we both agreed to. And I'm blaming him for it. He's blaming me.
All
We're
right,
from the
Nico, now
same.
we know where to blame.
Yeah,
Mm.
we're
Oh, yeah,
from the
how's it
same
going?
family, so we might as well just blame each other. so, um, so Tracy, I'd like to
Yes.
start with you first. Tell us a story.
Okay. So I was working in a clothing store, and um, it was definitely haunted. There were things that would happen, and some of them were nice. Like I'd be there by myself in the morning, and I'd be opening the cash registers, and the door alarm would go off, and I would see the UPS guy coming up with packages, and I'd run and open the door for him. So that was weird because, he was just getting up on the sidewalk. And so it was alerting me to go open the door for him. And we had other things happen, but usually I would be like in the fitting room and I'd feel something cold on the back of my neck, and my necklace would drop off onto the floor. I was always having earrings and jewelry go missing. And the thing that really got me to call in somebody from the paranormal is one night. Well, actually, I had a mannequin. I would come in the morning and it was facing the register instead of the front of the store. And I'd get annoyed and I'd face it back to the front of the store where it was supposed to be. And I would leave at night. And then the next day, when I came in for my shift, it would be facing the other way. So I finally overlapped my shift with one of the girls to have a talk with her to ask her to quit moving the mannequin because I was having to fix it all the time. And she said she wanted to talk to me because every morning she comes in, the mannequin was facing the register and she was having to face it forward. And then we realized neither of us were moving the mannequin. So one night we had a lot of activity, and one of the girls working for me was vacuuming the fitting rooms, and she kept coming out and saying, what do you want? And I was like, nothing, I'm counting the register, stop bothering me, I'm counting. And she's like, well, quit calling me. And I said, I'm not calling you. So at one point she left the vacuum running and ran screaming out of the fitting room and ran outside. So I went out to get her, and I'm like, okay, just come in. Let me stay with me. I'll finish the register. You can stay out here. I'll go back, finish vacuuming, and then, then we can leave. So I did. And when I was in vacuuming, I heard her calling me, and I went out and I was like, what? And she said, nothing. I'm just standing here. So I realized, okay, it's neither of us. So we finally got ready to close up, and we went outside, and the door is one of those ones where it really sticks. So you really got to get the key in and wiggle it before you can lock the door. So I had a hold of the door handle and I'm wiggling the key, and I just get it to click lock. And then I see the mannequin literally move this much. It moved from facing the front of the store to the register, the entire mannequin. And these weren't light mannequins. They weren't made of cloth. They were made of porcelain, and they were for heavy girls. The mannequins weighed 20 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. And I saw the entire thing move. And I froze with my hand on the door. I just couldn't move. I was just my mouth open, just staring like I can't believe what I saw. I turned. The girl that was with me, by the time I turned, already was in her car and peeled out in the parking lot. So it's like, oh my God, she just left me here. Yeah, I couldn't believe she totally left me here. So she came in and quit the next day. And so I got a hold of the Cahill Paranormal, and I was in charge of the store while the store manager was on vacation. So I said that we were having ADT. I called ADT and said we were having cleaning of the carpets, and instead I hosted a ghost hunt. So I talked to Misty. Now, Misty, you can tell about when you came in.
That's awesome, Tracy.
Yeah.
No, so this was way back when K-How Crew was very first started.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just me and some members of my family. And we didn't have a whole lot of equipment. I just had a couple of cameras and some infrared lights, but we came in and we did an investigation. Now, back in the back where she had told me that there was some activity taking place, I set up a camera and along with an infrared light. And that was just going to be a static camera to just kind of record, make sure there wasn't anything going on back there while we were out in the main area. So I set that up, and then out in the main area, we were doing the investigation portion of it, and we found, we saw clothing moving on the rack by itself. We saw shoes move by themselves. We heard pounding on the wall in response to our questions. And then when I went to go back and check on that camera that I'd set up, the static camera, the light had completely burned up. I mean, it was dead. There was no, I had to replace the light. So, and Tracy had mentioned earlier too about batteries. Back then, I was using cameras that used AAA batteries, and I was having to go. I mean, I was going through those things like crazy. It was just unreal.
Yeah, you
So
went
there
through a
was,
full bag.
yeah, yeah. So we had a really good time there. I didn't run out screaming and crying, but
You better not.
Yeah.
I think
no,
I
that was
think I
really
would have.
cool though.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, Medium Red, was you with the team then when this was happening?
No, that was when it was in its infantile stages. So yeah, nope, I wasn't even with the team yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even remember how many years ago this was. It was like, Tracy, how many years do you think it was?
Oh God, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, at least 10 years
Um,
ago.
The store closed up, and it's no longer there. And they gave the mannequin that moves. They gave it to another location. That location
oh,
started having haunting. And when they closed up that location, they took the mannequin out and they took some of the steel that the clothes come on and they smashed it in pieces and put it in the dumpster.
oh. Kind of reminds me of a Chucky moment, you know?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
decided it wasn't going to haunt
wow.
anyone else.
Oh my goodness.
Should have sent it to Zach,
Goodness.
Oh
Zach
my
Baggins.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Goodness.
And put it on display.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think he'd put clothes on it or would he leave it naked?
Oh gosh,
Depends
I
on if
don't
it was
know.
male or female.
It was a female, very voluptuous, so I don't know. He
Well, then
might get
he
slack if
probably
there
would
wasn't
leave it
clothes.
naked then. Knowing him, he'd probably leave it naked.
okay. On that note, let's go to Nico because it kind of ties into nakedness, I
Hmm.
say.
Yep. So I also have well, I guess you could say retail paranormal experience. So I worked in a adult store that was in the historic part of town. The building was built in 1887. Um, it's a 2,000 square foot adult store, so it fairly large. Um, I was told that it was haunted when I was hired, and I was like, okay, I'm a witch, I'm sensitive, like, okay, whatever. It's an old building. Who cares? I was not expecting, you know, and my shift was from what 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. So like towards the end of my shift, we're in like prime ghost territory, and for the first couple months, absolutely nothing like normal days, and then we had just one night, and it's like 2 a.m. We're starting our pre-close, vacuuming the carpets, and you start hearing things buzzing on the wall, and we don't have any customers in the building, and I turn around to go see where my coworkers are to see if they're like messing with something on the wall. My manager's upstairs in the loft in the office, and the other girl was in the bathroom. So I'm in the front by myself, and there's electronics going off on the wall. Um,
Hmm.
and these are not if the breeze or the air conditioner bumps them, they turn on. These are press and hold for 3 seconds before this will turn on.
Wow.
And they're shaking over there on the stand, and I go turn them off. And I was like, okay, that's weird. Continuing to clean, and then uh, we were going upstairs to go get our get our bags so that we could leave. And the the wall that's behind us has marital aids like jumping off the shelves, and it's like probably a 10-foot tall wall with peg posts on them, and you have things coming off of the wall from top all the way down, and we look at each other and go, I saw that, you saw that. And she's like, we called the ghost Frank. And I was like, damn it, Frank, like it's like almost 4 o'clock in the morning, why'd you have to do it now?
Mm.
And so we go pick everything back up, and um, it was kind of my first experience with like a poltergeist kind of spirit. I had done um, like residual hauntings before, and then later I worked with Midwest Paranormal team as a sensitive. But that was my first encounter with a poltergeist spirit. It was super fun.
Cool.
Wow.
Did Frank continue to do that? Like, was it every day?
It was like once a week. So he
Wow.
would like there would be things that happen, but he didn't do big things every day. I really wish he did, but I know that that takes them quite a bit of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty funny. What was
That is
on
crazy
what was on
cool.
the pegboard? Just out of curiosity, what was
Uh,
he throwing down?
Battery operated marital aids.
Aha. Okay.
Mm.
I was
Other,
wondering if there was a specific thing that maybe he was targeting. So
it was like he targeted the electronic wall.
okay.
And I think it's because a lot of them were rechargeables and things, so
Oh,
they had a charge, so there's an ambient source of energy for him to pull from.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
that's funny. I was thinking in terms that maybe, he was very Catholic and he didn't like, any sexual toys,
I,
What a shame. What a
we
shame.
figured that as like
Yeah.
Oh
that would have
boy.
been hilarious. Old convent turned adult store. Oh god, I need to see that.
Hey. How about you, Sasaka? What do you have for us?
I grew up in a weak family, so spirits were no big thing, but mine was my first big actual like haunting piece. So we had been invited out to the countryside, a chateau style estate by an old family friend. And it's one of those places you just drive up and you're like, oh, this is where I'm getting haunted. You just look at one of the buildings. You don't even have to feel anything. You can't even be sensitive at that point. You're like, oh, this is haunted. It's gotta be. So I walk in there, and the nosy person I am, I'm looking around. I'm checking everything. Eventually, they let us walk around and gave us a tour, and we came upon a room they called La Chambre de la Tasipiri, which is the room of the tapestry. It was a grand sitting room and a big old study. It was like stunning but strange. It was one of the only unupdated rooms in the house because they had done a lot of renovations over the years. This was a very old style room, very tall, giant fireplace, stone, very castle like. And on one wall was this giant tapestry, and it was an original tapestry. It was depicted a great battle of sorts. There were soldiers on horseback, snarling hounds, gun blazing. And the more I looked at it, the more it less felt like a tapestry, like artwork. It felt like a memory almost, like something was still happening inside of it. So, of course, we went to bed, and I'm obsessed with this tapestry. I'm dreaming of this tapestry. I become somehow like attached to it. So the first night there, I woke up pretty early or so. I didn't sleep through the night. I had banked in before sleeping, but it just didn't happen. I heard a sound, a faint, low, like dragging sound. Now I was alone on like this part of the wing, so I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? Old house, old noises, things happen. The next day went through okay. I kept thinking about the painting. It was like drawing me, the tapestry. It just kept drawing me to it. The second night was where things started to really get strange. I was just staring at this and looking around the room because it was honestly to me the coolest room in the house. And something in the weave of the tapestry almost shifted. Nothing dramatic or anything, it just enough to unsettle me. I thought one of the corners had like moved or something, like something in the tapestry itself had shifted. And when I got really close up, they had a little protective barrier around it because it was so old. But when I got as close as I could, something almost invisible that I hadn't noticed before was there. It was a figure woven into the corner. She was like hiding behind a tree watching the battle in the scene. So I was exploring and all that, and I asked my grandmother who had gone with me. And we went and we found one of the other people. She had very high intuition. She's like, you should look into this. This is something. So we asked one of the people who worked there at the chateau. And he led us to a diary, which was like their family book. What had happened to the family, their occupations, basically everyone who had lived there throughout the ages documented some of their time, how they lived, how they died. And he says, oh, well, you might find her interesting. And there was a couple little pages he sent us to. And the first said, Thomas the third or something, gone with his children, survived by his wife Anna. And then it was Anna's entry, and it says Anna left behind too soon, left behind but soon departed with her father and her family. That night there was just this eerie feeling, just horrible, oppressive feeling. And I was drawn to the tapestry, which was a couple rooms over. And I just sat in front of it for a long time, staring at it. And I don't know what came over me. I knew we weren't supposed to touch it. We weren't allowed to. And I knew that, it was just awful. But I reached out and I touched the little corner of it. And the moment I touched it, it was like my whole body went into shock, like I'd grabbed a live wire. The sounds in the room died. The fire that was in the fireplace, I couldn't hear it. I couldn't even hear my own breath. It's like time had stopped around me. And then from within the tapestry or the wall or inside my head, I just heard this clear voice, like somebody standing next to me. I tried to hide them to protect them, but now all I am is trapped. I couldn't move. The fabric, that I was touching was like warm. It almost felt like skin. It didn't feel like fabric anymore. I ran back to my room and honestly, I cried. I was shaking. It was my first big experience like this. I had never experienced something so in depth. And so the next morning, my grams went with me and we did a meditation session in front of it. And she's like, you know, we are spiritual people. We can hear and sometimes see spirits, but sometimes the silence listens louder than the questions do. You can sit there and ask 100 questions, or you can sit there and see what that spirit has to tell you. And so I listened, and for a long time, I just sat there. And when I came to, I was inside the tapestry. I felt like I was inside the tapestry. It
Wow.
was a very weird feeling. Everything felt stitched. It felt like a heavy quilt had just been draped over me. And there she was, that girl I saw in the corner of the tapestry.
Hmm.
And she spoke to me. And it didn't come from her lips. She didn't open her lips, but I heard her like she was talking right next to me. I had sealed them in to save them, but the walls didn't keep death in the world out. They only kept me in. They've gone on without me.
Oh,
And I was shell shocked. And I did a lot of research and I asked a lot of people. And finally, I just came out and asked the people who were also, you know, a practitioner family like mine, what's going on? And they're like, oh, you met Anna, didn't you? She doesn't like being seen, but now that you've seen her, you know, you've got her attention. It turns out she was an old practitioner in the family during the War of 1812. She watched her family, her father, her husband, and her two sons perish in the war.
Oh,
And she
wow.
had desperately tried to save them. So she wove this tapestry in trying to give a living memory of them. And there was such raw power that she wove herself, her very memory, into the
mhm.
tapestry itself, and had ended up doing the opposite. Instead of moving on like her family did, she had literally woven herself into the tapestry, reliving that moment constantly. And I talked with her several times, not a lot of words anymore, but more like an exchange of feelings. And it came to me, and she was so in herself, and she was reliving this moment over and over and over, and she couldn't leave the tapestry. But she said, now that I see you, you can see me. That means the thread has found you too, kin of my kind. Don't make the same mistake that I did.
Powerful.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's incredible.
Has anyone been able to help her escape the tapestry and go home beyond?
We don't talk to them much anymore, but there it seems like her life itself was woven into the tapestry. We're not sure if she's really there, if it was an echo of her, but
I think it's
definitely
probably residual energy.
Mm.
some piece
Yes.
of her was
Wow.
just reliving this memory over and over and over.
It's the residual energy of herself that she's poured into it. So she's
Mm.
physically not there. It's just the energy, like you said, an imprint of herself there.
Yep.
And
It's
it's heartbreaking that she had tried to save her family, capture them in this painting and in this piece, which is apparently what this family was known for and still to this day. They can capture pieces of spirits and energies in these. And in doing so, the raw energy was
Mhm.
too much. She ended up pouring herself into it instead of saving. They moved on without her, so to speak.
Hmm.
Very
that's
sad.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Very.
That was my first really big experience. And I was, you know, my family's big into spirit work and all of that. But this was my first time I was like, I can do something with this. I want to do something with this in my life. This is obviously a sign that I am meant to do work with it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is.
That
That
is.
is.
Mm. It reminds me of the Scottish. There's a folk superstition that for people that do textile arts that you were supposed to weave in at least one mistake in your work, lest you lose a piece of your soul in your mastery.
Hmm.
I've
Uh,
heard that too.
Yeah.
and that immediately popped into my head when you're like, haunted tapestry, stuck in the tapestry, and I was like, oh no, perfect work. That's why.
That's why, yeah.
Hmm.
Incredible. Very incredible.
Wow.
Hmm.
Medium red. I go last, though. You can go before me.
Well, Chrissy, you've heard this before, but I think the biggest one was when, and actually Misty was there for that. We went to Clifton Hotel in Clifton, Arizona, which is an old mining town. And there was, prior to me even being at the hotel, I'd never been to Clifton before. So I was sitting on the sofa and we were watching television, my husband and I, and all of a sudden I was overcome by this like gurgling. I started gurgling and I was looking at him and he's looking at me and he's thinking he's going to have to call 911 because I can't talk. And it's just this like death gurgle. And all of a sudden I'm standing outside the Clifton Hotel and it's a dirt road and there's a woman standing there and she has black hair and her hair is up, in a very loose bun, but the tendrils are hanging down in her face and everything. So it's not very prim and proper. And she's in a kind of a nightgown for lack of anything else, but it's not a prim and proper nightgown. So it led me to believe that she was probably a lady of the night. And all of a sudden she's facing the bridge and somebody comes up behind her and she knows instinctively who it is, but yet she doesn't fight or turn around. And the next thing you know, the hand comes around her chest and just slices her neck open. And literally the only thing that's holding her head on is, it's so descriptively gross, but her spinal cord.
Wow.
Slumped to the ground and it took her a while to bleed out and die. And so fast forward, we go to the Clifton Hotel to do the investigation. This was a few weeks prior to the investigation, and talking with the general manager there, and she's saying that, they do have the entities there. And I said, don't tell us who it is, but I said, let me ask you about this one. And she's like, oh yeah, that's Jenny, and that's the lady of the night. She was killed in a love triangle situation. And it was that her husband was okay with her being a lady of the night as long as she didn't fall in love with any of her clients. Well, she ended up falling in love with one of her clients. So the husband came in the middle of the night, slit her throat, and it took her 23 minutes to pass.
Oh.
So back in the hotel, there is and sorry guys, I'm going to have to take sips of water here because I have a sinus infection again. So I'm like, I don't want to cough. But anyway, so she, one of the public restroom for the women's bathroom was her room. So we went in there at 11:15, and I said, this is the time that's like the bewitching hour for her death. And she's still present there. She's waiting for validation and vindication for her husband to be picked up and tried. He got away with it. So we went in there and I channeled her and asked her to show me her death. Well, I should be a little more precise in how I asked that because she literally took over. And all of a sudden, I'm standing and then I had to sit down. And the next thing you know, I'm bringing my legs up to my chest. And the next thing I know, I just want to put my head down on the concrete. And all of a sudden, all the blood is draining. I can feel like the tingling feeling in my fingers as if there's like you've been sitting on your hands and they've lost all feeling. They're tingling and it's going up my arms. It's in my feet. It's in my legs and everything. And finally, one of our team members said, get her out, get her out. So they came in and they pulled me out. And one of our other team members started taking a photograph of me. And I looked like I was white as a ghost. I mean, I had no color whatsoever. Misty being an EMT, and then we had another person on the team as well who is in hospice care. She deals with elderly people in hospice. And she said, you just basically experienced what most people, when you're dying, go through, where the body shuts down the extremities to protect the core. So it was literally draining the blood everywhere else except for trying to protect my core and my heart. And it was pretty intense. And then her death lasted exactly 23 minutes. This poor girl goes through this every single night at the same time. In fact, the general manager will not go into that bathroom after a certain time unless her husband comes with her, because she does. And she's actually intuitive, but also a witch as well. And so she doesn't go in that bathroom after a certain time because she knows that she would start to feel the same way. And so she goes in before or she goes after to go to the bathroom. So, but it was pretty intense. Poor thing, every single day at the same time relives her death over and over again. And of course, this happened in the 1800s. There's no way to find out whether her husband has passed on and was he arrested or not arrested. The way she speaks of it is that he got off. I mean, he literally did not pay for her death. So in her mind, until that vindication happens, she can't move on. And it's sad, very sad, because she literally sat with her body after she passed. She sat with her body. Her body wasn't found until the following morning, like around 10 o'clock in the morning. So she sat there with her body the entire time and didn't know what to do.
Oh,
So
wow.
very, very sad, very sad. But yeah, her husband slit her throat and she slowly bled out. So
Yeah.
terrible.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
that's horrible.
What are you
the
going to say,
Clifton
Misty?
Hotel. The Clifton Hotel is something else.
It really is. It really is. I have a special
Our
place
first,
in my heart for that one.
yes, definitely. Our first trip there, we had done a seance, and during the seance, a painting came flying off of the wall and almost hit another investigator in the head.
Wow.
Yeah, so that place is really, really cool.
The entities that are there are very friendly, but if they don't like you, they will make it known.
Yep.
If they find that you have even the ounce of nefarious in what you're doing, they will tell you to get out and it gets dark. It'll get dark.
Oh,
Very
wow.
quickly. So it's interesting how it's almost like, and like I tell Shell all the time, she's basically Samantha and her husband Tim is Jay from that TV show called The Ghosts. Where it's Samantha and Jay that own that little hotel and they've got the resident ghosts that are all living there.
Yes.
That's Shell.
Oh man. Wow.
What about you, Chrissy?
Oh, what about me? No.
You're fabulous and beautiful. I mean,
I got so many. I'm trying to figure which one to say. We used to live in a haunted house. Seriously. It was built in I think 1980 or 81. So it wasn't really old, but it was, it was new and stuff. I think we moved in 86, and we didn't have nothing happen. Then all of a sudden, right after our second baby was born, my husband started seeing like demon eyes, like red eyes following him around, black blobs and everything. And then one time I was cooking spaghetti. So we had spaghetti sauce. It was an empty jar. Nobody was around there. It was just me actually. And I think my husband was working or something. And then it was on the stove. And then all of a sudden it just threw across the room. Just poof, right across the room. And it's like, what the heck? And I didn't know what to think. So I'm just like, okie dokie. So if you are here, please be good. Be nice. I'll be nice to you. If you want spaghetti, I'll leave you a plate of spaghetti. Just, stop with the activity here. And then years later, and what the black blob kind of came back different times. And the only person who actually saw it was my husband and his friends. Every time I walked in the room, it disappeared. It was like it was afraid of me or didn't want me to see it or something like that. I really don't know. And when my kids, well, I should say, when Amy and Amber was probably 3 and 6, an old woman used to sing Amazing Grace and Silent Night.
Oh, oh
And
wow.
I remember they used to say, Mom, Mom, Mommy. So I would go up there, listen, and you can hear very faint an old woman voice singing the song. And it's like you kind of, put your ear up against the wall. It's like, where's that coming from? It's like all around. It's like a surround sound.
Wow.
That was kind of freaky. That was kind of freaky.
Yeah.
Yeah. One time when my husband and I was in bed, we had like a cowboy. I mean, he was shaped. You could see his hat and everything, and he had his boots on because he can hear the spurs. Kind of go around. And our bed right in the middle, you can feel the footsteps right in the middle of the bed, and then he will jump off the bed onto the floor, and you hear his boots, clanging on the floor, and walking away, and just kind of fade away. And my husband and I were just looking at each other like, okay, we didn't see that. We didn't hear that. Good night, And then probably 2, 3 hours later, we feel somebody jump on the bed. Thought it was a cat or a dog. But it was this cowboy again, walking on the bed. We can see the footprints. And then all of a sudden he just like went to the wall. It just disappeared. So yeah, that was kind of freaky. That was kind of freaky.
That's scary.
The house was just, I don't know. I mean, a nice house, brand new house. It was just haunted somehow. When I did research on the house, the property used to have a lake on it. The whole subdivision that we lived in had a lake on it. And I guess in this lake, I guess they had probably 3 or 4 people that actually drowned in the lake. So maybe that could be the reason why. I don't know. But yeah, there was a lot of activity. Just, some scary and some like not so scary. The little boy, there was like 2 little boys. I don't know if they were twins or not, because they kind of looked alike, but one was a little bit taller than the other. And this was when I was coming into power, and I was like sensing everything. And these 2 little boys just sit there and was just holding hands, just looking at anything, us in bed, looking at my kids, looking in the kitchen. They was just there. And they wouldn't say anything, but they would just kind of swing their hands back and forth, grinning, like they was harmless, but they were just looking. So it was kind of weird. So don't know for sure what
That
was
was the same house, Chrissy, too?
Yeah, it's the same house. Yeah.
Same house. Wow.
We lived there for, oh gosh, probably about 12, 14 years maybe before we moved. So, and then when we moved, of course, we blessed the house that we moved into, and we blessed the house that we was moving out of. We left our broom behind. We left an open book. I was, taught that you leave a broom behind and the open book where the spirits goes into the book. And you tell the spirits, we are leaving. Please don't follow us. And we went to the new house, and everything was okay for probably 6 months. And then all of a sudden, the kids and our friends kept saying they kept seeing somebody in the corners and stuff. We couldn't see nobody, but we sensed it, but we just couldn't see anything. So it was kind of weird. So we blessed the house again. And then after that, nothing happened actually until we moved to Colorado about, let me see, 10 years later. They were moved to Colorado. And then we had some activity out there for a little bit too.
Wow.
But yeah, it was crazy. It was really crazy. I don't know. I think spirits was just attached to us for some reason. I
I think
really
that
don't
because you're
know.
intuitive, yeah.
Yeah.
That could
And a
have
lot
been.
of it was attached to the land, it sounds like, too. Like you said,
Yeah.
you did the research with that and you saw that it was more the land than the actual
Yeah.
physical house. We've run into that. Misty and I've run into that too.
Yeah. Do you guys do histories on places you research?
We do. We do. We try to. We also
Yeah.
try to figure out as well if somebody has died in the house as well. You know, oftentimes, I mean, the most recent case that Misty and I went on, which was really interesting, was it was a twofold interesting aspect because the woman was experiencing a man in the house, and I did determine that there was a gentleman where she lives. The houses are similar to one another, and this poor gentleman had died. Well, he hadn't died in his house, but he had been taken away in an ambulance. And then, as when he passed away in the hospital, he had made a pact with his wife that if she were to go before him, she would look after him and be present in the house until he died, and vice versa. Well, he died first, and he wandered, and it was something about a tree in the front yard. There was two houses literally like within a block of each other that looked very similar. The trees were similar to one another, and he had dementia, and he had wandered. When he died, he had dementia. He wandered into the house not realizing that this was not his house,
Oh,
and was very upset that this woman and her husband was in the house and couldn't figure out why. And so Misty and I went in and we blessed the house and everything. And I had a conversation with him. His name was Mitch, and told Mitch, that he needed to go down just half a block down, and that would be the house. But then the other part of it too was Misty had her electrician's meter, and this house was spiking high electronic, what do you call it?
Yeah,
Field,
it was high
EMF.
EMF.
high
Yeah.
EMFs.
It was
So,
coming off of all the lamps in the house.
so what it was doing was it was heightening her senses, and then after Mitch had left, she kept thinking that he was there, but it wasn't him. It was the high EMFs. But yeah, it was a kind of a dichotomy, which was really interesting to see that we've never encountered that before. But now it's kind of an automatic. We walk around and go, is it a spirit, or is it just high EMFs going on in the house? So very strange.
Wow. We're going to take a quick break, you guys, for about 1:49.
Perfect.
Then we're going to regroup. So the audience, just stay put. Okay.
Okay.
Today's Witch Magazine, brought to you by Covered Bridge Press, LLC. Imagine a world where every month you're greeted with a 50-page print magazine packed with high-quality graphics specifically tailored for the pagan community. Today's Witch Magazine is your gateway to a universe of insights, inspiration, and enlightenment. Whether you're a seasoned practitioner or just beginning your journey, this magazine supports all pagan traditions and levels of experience. Each issue is a treasure trove of interviews with luminaries like Oberon Zell, educational materials, and thought-provoking articles. Subscribers rave about the knowledge they gain and the vibrant community they join. But the magic doesn't stop there. Other publications include their Travel Guide for Pagans, featuring over 309 stores across the states, updated yearly to keep your spiritual travels seamless. And for those who love a mental challenge, their Pagan Puzzle Book offers 63 engaging puzzles and 13 coloring pages, perfect as an educational tool or just for fun. Today's Witch Magazine invites you to become part of this growing community. With affordable advertising options, you can share your event or business with a vibrant audience. Their commitment to ethical values and fact-checking ensures you're getting quality content every time. So, what are you waiting for? Visit todayswitch.net now to subscribe and explore advertising opportunities. Let Today's Witch Magazine be your monthly companion in the magical world of paganism.
Welcome
We're
back.
back, everybody. Nico, won't you
Yes.
tell everybody about Meredith and show the video too? That is
Oh, I don't know
awesome
if
video.
I may have to dig up my video.
So if you don't have it, I do. So
If you have it, that would be perfect because I'll have to go dig through my TikTok to find it.
okay, go ahead and talk about it while I find it then.
So a while ago, I had seen a few content creators on TikTok who housed haunted artifacts, haunted dolls, things like that, and I was really curious about it. And I ended up going to a um, large consignment antique store, and they had a bit of everything. They had oddities, antiques, you name it. Um, and there was a booth in the back that claimed to be like an oddities and paranormal shop, and they were selling medical equipment like toe tags, and then they had a wall of categorized haunted dolls, and they're from different time periods, and they're labeled like this is supposed to be the spirit's name, and the activity that they present with, and then linked was their YouTube, and if they had captured any evidence while they had the object. And I picked up this doll. Her name is Meredith, and she was, or well, it's a late 1800s, early 1900s porcelain doll.
Oh, wow.
It was a whole body doll,
Mhm.
and I had some. I didn't, or had some initial activity when I picked her up. I kept getting the image of like a small girl in a nightgown, um, and I was like, okay, a spirit attached to it, no problem. I'm a witch, it's fine. So I put her in my cupboard and um, bless and ward it, and think nothing of it. Like, well, I'll make some content out of this, and it'll be really cool. Well, I started having paranormal activity, as you would expect.
Mhm,
My room is on the second story above our garage,
mhm.
and I was hearing knocking on our window, well, on my bedroom windows, and I'm 9 feet off the ground. So that unless you're pulling out a ladder, there's no way you're knocking on my window. And I was like, okay, weird. Well, the next night, I felt something run across my bed, but I have cats, and initially I thought it was my cat, but it was like two legs, like a toddler running across your bed.
Hmm.
And I have
Wow.
no children. Like it was like this doll was running across my bed, but I know it's shut in this cupboard.
Hmm.
It was okay, creepy. I don't like that.
Yeah.
And especially because like this isn't a warded cupboard, like blessed, it's in a spirit trap. Like you should not be doing anything. So I talked to my cousin about it, and we get this idea that let's do a séance. And so we got on a live stream and pull out a spirit box, and we're talking to this doll, and it tells us its name's Meredith, and that it really likes my cousin. And it's
Hmm.
like, well, this is around the time where I found out about remote paranormal investigation and spirits crossing through technology. And so we had this really cool seance. There's a video of the doll moving, which we have on video, where we're talking to the doll and the doll's whole head turns and then it falls over.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And then we're like, we saw that and we're like, okay, no, we're done. Like, thank you. We're done for the night. And we go through and it's like, okay. I go to bed. I slept fine. I wake up with like the worst migraine of my life. Like I feel like somebody hit me with like a 5-pound cast iron skillet, and
Excuse me.
my phone's blowing
Excuse
up.
me.
Oops.
Did that doll just move?
Yes.
You might
I
want
like
to
to use
back.
I need my glasses.
Let me play that again. It kind of came up and it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
I don't want you up yet. But okay,
Yeah, we
hang
might wanna
on.
back that up from the beginning.
Okay, hang on. Okay, ready, you guys?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Let me remove and add it. Okay, here we go.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Oh, wow.
Did that doll just move?
Yeah, it's the
Yes.
head. Wow.
Okay,
I
did you
like
guys see that okay?
Yep. Saw it. Wow, that's incredible.
So let me play it again. Just
Yeah,
'cause
one
I
more
like-
time.
Crazy. Yeah.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Did
Ugh.
that doll just move?
Say no to dolls.
Yeah.
Yes, they know.
I
Um,
know.
it gets worse.
That's
So,
awesome, Nico.
um, I thought initially I thought it was a benevolent spirit. It's just a little girl. The story that she had given me is that she was the victim of a older man, and he had strangled her.
Oh my
And
god.
but later I found out that so after that seance, I wake up with a migraine the next day, and I get messages from everybody that watched the seance initially that um, my cousin Amy woke up in the middle of the night to a presence strangling her
Oh.
and pulling her hair. She said that it looked like the thing from The Grudge coming across the floor.
Wow.
Ugh.
Now,
Another
Amy is my daughter.
Okay.
We're cousins. So to continue with that night,
Wow.
came up to my bedroom. He goes, Mom, come downstairs and sleep with me, please.
I don't blame her.
I know.
Because her husband, he sometimes he's gone during the week on a job. And I'm
Right.
like, Amy, you'll be fine, honey. You'll be fine. You know, no, Mommy. She goes,
Oh yeah, that doll.
come and sleep
That
with
doll
me.
messed
I
it up.
slept with her for 3 nights. I slept with her.
I hate that doll so much.
Yep. But I get to the point where we did some diagnostics on it, and it was like this doll's not as advertised. It's definitely not a benevolent spirit. And we kind of determined that it was um, the doll body is a soft body doll with porcelain limbs and a head, and so the center's stuffed. So I was curious, and being a witch, like there are ways to make poppets sentient.
Mhm.
And I was really curious, like, okay, I don't think this is a naturally haunted object. I think somebody forced a spirit into this doll.
Interesting.
Well,
Mm.
inside of the doll, it's filled with either horse or human hair, baby teeth,
Oh, hell no.
and like I'm sitting there like pulling this stuff out, and I was like, oh, somebody made it. Yep,
Yeah.
somebody definitely made this.
They purposely made
Yeah.
it for the spirit. Yeah, that makes sense
spirit was
now.
very, very upset.
No
So I
wonder.
disassembled the spirit or the doll, and then I burned the contents of the inside of the doll, as well as the body. We did a cleansing. I did. Me and Briar did what, like a 3-hour exorcism on the doll before this.
Yeah, because I remember you called me and you're like, "Hey, so I got a problem here. I know your family works with spirits and things. There's a haunted doll. It's already strangled someone. Here's the video. And by the way, everyone who watches the video is usually. I was like, oh, great. So you've just invited me to the ring. Okay, that's how this is. Okay, excuse me while I go cry in the corner for 5 minutes. And if this doll doesn't strangle you, I'm going to. And then we'll circle back around how to fix it.
So we
Wait.
exorcised the doll.
Did that fix we're not going to be haunted from watching that video,
No,
right?
the spirit's gone.
Oh.
So
Thank God.
we exorcised it.
You
and then
can't.
ritualistically
It's gone.
Tore it down, and then I kept the head as a souvenir, just as it's a cool antique. Also, like I wanted a memento for my accidental cross-state possession doll. It was a learning experience, and now I
That
know.
thing was nasty.
Yeah, and now I know that if I'm gonna do remote investigations or remote seances, that there's spiritual protections that I should put in place to prevent the spirit from crossing through technology. Um,
Very
yeah,
true. Very true.
See, they don't listen to me. I was telling Amy, I go, Amy, just no, no, don't even do that. Don't even go there.
well,
Oh,
it's not an idea.
so
Well, that
Well,
thing was
that's
aggressive. I mean,
I
I tried exercising, just like Nico said. We tried about 3 hours to get rid of this thing, and so I was like, okay, we'll start simple banishment. This thing comes running at me, and it's like, you're not gonna take me. And I'm like, oh, okay, hit it, darn it, do whatever you need to. It, you know, it's like, when you see a spider run across the floor, kill it, squish it, burn the house down, whatever you have to do.
Yep.
I am terrified of dolls, so say no to dolls.
So, Chrissy, we did a investigation at a store called Terror Trader just recently. What was it, like 2 weeks ago, Misty?
Yeah.
Roughly 2 weeks ago, and he does
Yeah.
have. It's a store of oddities, just like what you were talking about, Nico. It's a store of oddities, but he also has like a section that he's kind of created as like a museum part, and he has pieces that have attachments to it. And he has a doll. What's the name of the doll, Misty? Danza? Is it Danza? Dazana. And it was from Herzegovina, Bosnia, and it does definitely have a child attached to it. That child is evil child. But interesting, Misty, I didn't tell you this, but Gretchen, one of the girls that was on the investigation, I just saw her, gosh, I can't remember, like 3 or 4 days ago. And she told me, she goes, Colleen, she goes, do you remember what Jason, the owner, was telling us about, if you look at Donzia or whatever her name is in the eye? And I said, don't tell me you looked her in the eye. And she goes, I did. I go, and are you dreaming now? And she's like, I'm having these weird ass dreams. For the last 3 days, I have had nothing but dreams that are focused around this doll. So it happened exactly as Jason talked about it, Misty. She's proof that she's like, this doll was in my dream for 3 nights in a row. So
that explains why we heard Bosnian on the spirit box.
Yeah.
So those attachments to those dolls are wild.
It's very real. Yes.
Very real.
I can't stand dolls like that.
I have minor spiritual PTSD from like dolls now after that whole experience. And it's so funny that it played out like the paranormal horror movies, where it's like, oh, it's a cute little innocent spirit, and then no, the hell it's not. And I was like, I just thought that was a movie trope, but okay.
It's like Annabelle. Annabelle looks like a really cute little Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah.
Not quite.
No, they
I
got
have always hated dolls like that growing up.
That thing.
Yeah, my
that doll.
My husband is over here saying, I told them both not to play with the doll. And they don't listen. He's like, so now they will listen to me, I hope.
Dad, I know what I'm doing.
I learned all
Hi,
my
Chris.
lessons the hard way.
Hi.
I love Bug. Yeah.
I have always disliked dolls like that. Like I said, I grew up in a witch family. As I put it, my great grandmother, my Grams, had the world's first nanny cam. She had those dolls laying around, and the eyes were all made of obsidian. And she used them to scry throughout the house. So I grew up. I grew up, and she could not even be home or something. And I'm playing around the house. I take out a cookie jar. I knock over something. She knew before she got home because she was watching through those dolls.
Love it.
Wow.
It's not a nanny cam. It's not a nanny cam. It's a nanny doll.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's like that doll Peggy that Zach Baggins has, if you don't say, he's got her locked behind glass. I've seen Annabelle in real life and I've seen Peggy in real life, and I'll tell you, everything is true about both those dolls. You can just feel you can feel it. Totally.
I haven't seen Annabelle in real life.
Ugh. Zach had her for a very short period of time, and then Ed and Lorraine Warren's son took her back because Zach wasn't playing by the rules. And so they actually even show this in the show, him coming in and taking the doll back away from Zach because you're not supposed to touch the doll. And for some reason, Zach just likes to provoke it. And so he was like trying to reach out and touch the doll, and he did. So Annabelle's gone.
The first little things like that. When somebody warns you, believe them.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
If it all comes with a warning label, follow
You're right.
it.
Exactly. Precisely.
Or any haunted object for that reason.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah,
So
that's
now,
exactly. Go ahead, Chrissy.
do you have any dolls now?
That not of that variety, no. I do have a couple haunted objects, but they're not dolls. I may pick up another haunted doll at some point in the future if I'm doing an investigation or something and that's the source and it needs to leave the house. But I will probably dispose of it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm taking any spirit pets in that version anymore.
I'm with Tracy. She's here shaking her head like,
yeah. Don't do it. Don't do it.
See, the last one that I got, the last investigation I did, I was told by a friend that they had a spirit in their house that the previous owner took his life in the basement. He was a veteran. And the basement was very, very oppressive. You could hear crying in the basement. And the kids would come up from the basement laundry with scratches.
Wow.
And just like a lot of activity and a lot of maliciousness. And that's one of those spirits where when they're hurting individuals, like they need to go. Like if it's an echo and it's just like kind of traumatic, okay, fine. But when they're active and maliciously like hurting people, that spirit's got to go.
Right. Yeah.
I know somebody who has 15 haunted dolls. Yeah, 15.
No.
We should have had Pam on here. Next time we got to have Pamela Woolwine on because she has haunted dolls as well, and she loves dolls, and she'll pick them up just for the fact of them. I mean, not all of her dolls are haunted, but she does have a couple of them that are haunted for sure. That's like
the kind of scenario that inspired me to get one. Is that I had followed a lady on TikTok who has she runs a haunted doll museum.
Oh, how cool!
She's got a whole like curio cabinet of haunted dolls, and she goes through and runs the REM pod and the EMF devices, and different days of the week she pulls different dolls out, and she'll talk to them.
That's cool.
And then they'll light up the balls across the floor, and like it's super cool. And I was like, that's really, really awesome. And it's like I'm sensitive to spirits too, and it's like this will just be fun. The last house I did, the man had taken his life with a firearm in the basement.
Oh no!
The bullet was still embedded in the concrete.
Wow!
That was the anchor point. So we had to drill out the bullet out of the wall. And then we set up a spirit jar so that we could forcefully convince him to leave. He had no awareness that he was being malicious, but had no awareness that he had passed on. He was just acting out in sadness.
Right.
But so we took the anchor and took his spirit, and then he wasn't buried here in the state. He was taken somewhere else. So we took him down to the crossroads and released him. But so I have that in my collection, but I don't have any other dolls.
Oh wow!
Are you getting more, Nico?
Maybe. It's always the running joke of kind of as a hobbyist. I work with a local paranormal team, doing some psychic work, and if they need assistance banishing spirits or whatnot, I'm on call if they're doing a case that needs that. And I don't charge the families at all for that. Like it's all free will.
Right. That's what we do too.
So occasionally I'll go do that. I got one of our my husband's friends. We were at a party and she found out that I was a witch and that I do stuff with the paranormal, and you know how the story goes where they find out and then they're like, my house is haunted and I have this spirit, and I'm sitting there like, okay.
Is there anyone around me? Is there anyone around me?
Yep.
Can you tell my uncle? Yeah.
And she's like, okay, well, there's this thing in my house, and she's like explaining the whole thing, and it's like, it's definitely like an inhuman spirit of some sort, and it's like that. It's not like an echo. It's not a poltergeist. Like there's this creepy thing that follows her around the house.
Wow.
And her child plays with it. Like it's really friendly to her child.
Okay.
Which is very concerning, and then very aggressive towards her.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's like her, and then her sister also had the same spirit. And I'm like, okay. So I gave her the my information. I was like, let me know like when you want to set up. Like I can do this remote, or I can come over and do it. Like, but I don't think that needs to be in your house anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when children are involved. That's
Well, it concerned me because it's befriending her little daughter so that it can get closer, so that it's doing this really gross thing where it's getting really close to the daughter, so the daughter accepts it and brings it closer to like not quite possession, but like obsession level.
Right.
So that it has more influence and more control.
Right,
And then
over the child.
Once the child, or once her daughter would give the spirit that permission, that it would stop interacting with her mom, because her mom was the last one to give this doll or this spirit that permission. And then now it's moving down the generations.
It's incredible.
Yeah. That's not good.
That's like that Zoe's doll. Remember we did that investigation with Zoe and those dolls? And remember I was telling her like the 4-year-old son that she has, the one doll was like, for some reason it was gleaning onto her son, the youngest child, and he would go over and play with it. Remember that? And I kept saying, well, you just have to be very careful around, you know. She likes these dolls. I mean, it's not like as if I could tell her to throw them out or anything like that, but yeah, the same situation where it's like the 4-year-old boy is drawn to it, and she's drawn, the doll has a woman attached to it, and she's drawn to the child. It reminds her of the child that she lost in a fire. And so she's doing the same exact thing. She was trying to glean on to her child. I was just like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea for you to be playing with this, you know, but you can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink, you know? So again, the warning label was there, but
yeah,
crazy.
Just say no to dolls.
Yeah, general consensus, unless you're working with in the magical sense with puppets for sympathetic magic, don't just leave empty spirit vessels around. I don't recommend it. Like lock that doll, like bless it, splash some holy water on it, whatever your tradition and faith calls for, but I don't like the idea of leaving an open door like that around.
Yeah, it's not advisable. Totally. Crazy.
Very crazy. I would, yeah. No dolls for me. No. I have a Mrs. Beasley that I that I did buy because I used to have a Mrs. Beasley when I was a kid, and
So did I.
it got lost somewhere, so I bought another one a few years back. That's probably the only one I do have, besides my Winnie the Pooh collection.
Aww.
But
I had a
no
Mrs. Beasley doll too.
dolls.
I loved it.
But no ceramic dolls or porcelain or anything. No, if somebody would buy me one, I would just give it to the Goodwill because no, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Well, that's like one of our friends in the paranormal world. She also, not Pam, but another woman that we know, Debbie. That's where she picks up all of her dolls. I can't. What does she have, Misty? Like $70 or something like that?
Oh,
I think it's more than that.
It might be. At one point in time, I thought she said 70. Maybe it's 700. I don't know. But
I think it's a couple of hundred.
yeah, I think you're right.
depends on the kind of spirits.
Yeah.
Like that either sounds like it'd be a great time or my personal hell.
Try and sleep with that many spirits in your house is.
That's a We Are Legion kind of stuff.
And one of our residents was a doll lady, and her spare bedroom, she had it set up with a bed and everything, and then the other 3 walls are all bookshelves with antique porcelain dolls, and they're all staring at the bed. And I was a housekeeper, and this was just after the experience. For like the following week,
oh no,
I have to go clean this lady's room, and I had no idea about the dolls in her room. And I'm cleaning her apartment, and then I open the room to go vacuum and dust in this room, and I just look around, and I just immediately go, hell no.
Oh,
get somebody else to clean the room.
Yeah.
Luckily, hers weren't haunted, at least thankfully. But
when I was a kid, I used to make my mom put any dolls in a black garbage bag and tie the garbage bag up and put it in the garage and lock it for the night. Because I couldn't have dolls in the house.
I don't blame you.
I did it when I was little.
Smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, smart girl.
That's called survival. That's not even superstition. That's survival instinct.
Right?
Survival tips. My husband has that experience with the old Jenna Furbies. His he was like 6. His aunt was about 8 years older than him, and for some reason they had like 12 Furbies.
Oh.
My the Furbies weirded my husband out, and his aunt put him in the living room floor and then started putting these Furbies around him in a circle.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Well, the old Furbies link up, so when they sense or hear one of the Furbies next to them, they all start talking. So he left him in a summoning circle of Furbies.
Oh my god!
And hates them to this day.
I would not blame him.
I bought Amy and Amber a Furby when they first came out 2 years ago. And at first they wanted one so bad. So when they got them, they're like, Mom, take it away. We don't want it. It's strange. No, take it away.
The old ones were so good for they would misfire. You could take the batteries out of them and they'd still talk and turn on and stuff.
Oh, no.
And they eventually, that's why they stopped making them, is that they kept getting reports of paranormal activity with them.
Well, yeah.
Oh, really?
Fisher Price is my first spirit box.
Pretty much.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, my youngest daughter, Amber, she it always reminded her of Chucky. She hated Chucky, and her brothers always teased her about Chucky and everything. And she she just cannot have any Barbies or anything. She was like, nope, nope, nope. I'm done with it. Nope, 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 nope. You know, so. But
Missy had to leave.
scary.
Mm.
Yep, Missy is
Missy
gone.
had to leave. Yeah, she had to take off. So.
We will have her back when we interview you guys, Kaha, probably next month or so.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'd be fabulous. Yeah, looking forward to
Mhm.
Ireland in 9 days. So.
Oh, that'll be so fun.
So thank you for accommodating my schedule and doing it in June. I appreciate that very much.
Oh no, that is fine. That is fine.
Down to the last 9 days, and I'll tell you, it's crazy what you can accomplish in 9 days.
You're going to have fun in Ireland. That's where I got a lot of activity.
Ooh. You have to tell us all about it. We just have to have like a podcast just around.
I would love to. Especially, I'm going to go to Cork, and that's where the longest stretch of time that I'm spending is in Cork because my family's from Cork. And I have a friend in Cork that's going to show me around too. But so I'm like, I told her, I said, I hope you don't mind. I want to go to some cemeteries and find my relatives so I can talk to them. And she's like, okay, I'm game with that. So yeah.
That was my favorite.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited. This was our 2020 trip that, before the great pause, we had to cancel, and it's taken us 5 years to get back on track with it again. So thank you both for accommodating the schedule for us. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, it'd be interesting too because you'll be coming back, so you can tell us all about it. Which I'm sure you're going to get some activity somewhere. Knowing you will find something.
You should check out
something.
If they have any fairy mounds in the area.
Yeah,
yeah. Have some cool activity too.
Well, I was talking to Sherry Ann about that too. I was like, I gotta definitely find that for sure. So
Cork has a fairy mound or two, at least.
Say that again, Nico.
I think Cork has a couple fairy mounds.
Oh, good, perfect.
You can feel crazy energy. It's like circles coming out.
We're going to the Hellfire Club on the way out of Dublin tour. We're going to go from Dublin to Connemara. So we're cutting across the country from east to west. And so I told Tim, my husband, I said, we're going to go to Hellfire Club. He goes, what's that? I go, don't worry about it. Just put good walking shoes on. He's like, I have a sneaky suspicion that there's something paranormal that's happening there. And I'm like, your suspicion is actually very accurate. So yeah, I've tried to keep the paranormal activity stuff that I want to do to a low roar, but he knows it's going to happen, that I'm going to be looking out for it.
Sounds like when I'm planning a vacation, I'm sitting there like, okay, so what kind of like metaphysical stores are in the area, and like what weird, like strange things can I get into?
Exactly. I'm like food, alcohol, fairies, paranormal activity. I'm golden.
Oh yeah.
Just what a woman wants.
Exactly.
No roses, no candy.
What's that, Chrissy?
Said no roses, no candy. Give us the
good
stuff.
Give me the hardcore stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you guys for accommodating our schedule for that. I appreciate that very much.
No
problem. We're excited to have you on. It's going to be on Behind the Witch's Veil, but of course we'll be streaming to, PWI investigation with Sherry, Drew Scottish blog with Drew.
Oh, love it.
So yeah, and within the cauldron, so to be podcasts all around. So.
Perfect. Well, that'll be hopefully Misty, Marianne, me, Betsy. Yeah, so that'll be good. Thank you again. That's awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are too. That's one thing we like about podcasting. It's just it's diversity. We instead of doing just witchy stuff or interviews with authors, we like the unique, the unknown. Paranormal, UFOs, aliens. Unique lifestyles, vampires, So I like that.
Need to put you with Pam Woolwine. We talked about, you saw that she was on the message a little bit. Her husband does a lot with petroglyphs in the sky, and he would be a great person to talk to about UFOs and things like that. His life's work has been spent on these entities, which has been really incredible, and I don't even know half of what is really involved in it. I just saw him yesterday actually, and he was trying to explain a little bit more to me. We are going to go in June at some point in time to just go with him and see the lights that he's talking about, so that we get a better understanding of it, which is really incredible. But he would be a great person to talk to, and he would love to do that.
Well, don't tell us that, because we're going to ask.
Exactly. I'll send you contact information.
So
I love networking and I love putting friends out there. So
yeah, I do too. I like to go out of the box and just find something for us to do. And tonight was really great. And I'm glad that Nico was like, "Hey, today is Happy National Paranormal Day," and I was like, "There's a thing." Really?
I know. I didn't realize it until you sent it out in the group chat. I was like, is it really? I thought it was National Grandparents' Day or something like that, but they have so many.
There's so many national holidays.
I know. I'm just like, is there a national medium holiday? Because if not, I want to make one.
I think there probably is.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, let me look that up and see.
I was going to say, when is it? Can we make it my birthday?
There's a way to submit.
Friday the 13th, so it would be, apropos.
There you go. Well, I'm looking it up and see. And if not, you can make one up.
Exactly.
I was
going to say.
Let me see.
I'm sure there's like a Psychic Mediums Day. There's got to be.
There's got to be.
Or like National Seance Day. There's got to be something.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
I don't see nothing, unfortunately.
Oh, Nico, we need to do that.
We can make one. I like the Friday the 13th.
We're going to have to make one. Definitely.
Oh, wait, here it is. The day of the psychic is August 3rd.
August 3rd? Oh, you found it.
August 3rd.
Awesome. August 3rd. I'm going to write that down.
It's the day of what?
It's Psychic and Psychic Mediums Day.
August 3rd.
So it started in 19th century England with the rise of Spiritism, and then 1960s, a man named Richard Falk
August 3rd, yeah.
started it.
Okay, so you have a date with us. We're going to do the first Happy Medium Day with you.
Yeah. Yay! Perfect. August 3rd. I'm available. I'll put it on the calendar.
Doesn't matter. Day or what? We do it anyway.
Nico and I will be on.
Yeah. We get everybody together.
Exactly.
Crossover between like witchcraft and paranormal, the occult, and like just the people that love the dark, fantastical, and the strange. And we got our fingers in kind of all the little pies, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm learning from your cousin Chrissy and Chris, because I have witch tendencies as well, and so I've been doing Chris's rabbit hole on YouTube and going down and researching, and I've got all these questions that I eventually.
It's coming after you, Medium Red.
No. If you have questions, we have answers.
Exactly.
That's honestly how I started with witchcraft. Is I have been clairvoyant since I was like 8.
See, I was the same at 5, so yeah.
By the time I was 14, I was practicing witchcraft as a way to help deal with spirits.
I love it.
And it got to the point where it's like my family was aware of it, and like they knew that I could see spirits, but they had no idea how to help. Mm-hmm. And so my mom, when I was like, "Hey, this is supposed to help. Like, there's ways in this that'll help. And so she took me down to the metaphysical store, and we're buying books and crystals, and started the whole process. And
Oh, I love it that she was so encouraging. Mine wasn't. She was like, "Don't you dare do that."
Oh.
well, it was. I hit a point where I saw my grandfather, who passed away when I was 1, and I watched this man. I was asleep on the couch and woke up, and then I see this man standing at the end of the hall next to their room, and like clear as day. And I'm describing him as like he's kind of like bald. He's got the horseshoe. He's in a flannel long sleeve shirt and slacks. And then he looks at me and he takes his teeth out and puts them in a shirt pocket.
I love that.
And he walked into their room, and I told my mom about it, and she's just looking at me like, there's no way in hell you know my dad in that much detail, or the fact that he took his teeth out because he hated his dentures.
Mhm.
And after that point, she's like, whatever you see, you saw.
Yeah.
I might not see it, but there's no way that you know that much about somebody you've never met
Right.
and not see them.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same way with my grandfather. I did the same thing. That was my playmate when I was 5 years old. And like my mom came into the room, Chrissy and Chris know the story because I told it to them on this podcast that I did recently. I would play with him. He was my playmate because my brothers were 10 and 11 years older than I was. So I didn't really have any siblings to play with. So I would play with him and I would play Cowboys and Indians and we would do all sorts of things and tea parties. And my mom came in the room one day and heard me talking and she's like, "Who are you talking to?" And I go, "Pap Pap." And she's like, "He's dead." I go, "I know." And she's like, "Well, you can't play with him." I'm like, "Yeah, I can." And he's right there. And I'm pointing to him. And she's like, "You need to stop that. You can't do that anymore," because she's highly Catholic. And I just said, "Okay." So I looked at him and he looked at me and he goes, "We'll come up with a nickname and then she won't know any better." So it was okay for me to play with an imaginary friend.
Yep.
It wasn't okay for me to play with my deceased grandfather, which I still did. I just called him a different name. She's like, "Who are you playing with?" "Oh, my imaginary friend, Hockey."
I had a similar experience growing up, but it was the opposite. I grew up in a big witch family, but it wasn't like we were very into the craft. At least about half the family were.
Mhm.
But it's not something you talk about. It was just another part of daily life. I'm making
Right.
tea. I'm performing my morning ceremony. So I was playing with spirits and other children in the neighborhood and where we lived. We grew up, and I didn't know half of them were dead until I was like 9 or 10. They're just like, "Oh,
Yes.
that's it. That's Aunt Belinda. She just comes and goes as she wants." And
Right.
it's like, and it's the thought wasn't in my mind that, oh, I'm seeing spirits, because we weren't raised like that. We were brought up in our coming of age ceremony at 12.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they wanted us to follow our own path until we get there, come to the conclusion ourselves.
Right.
And so it's just like I saw these people and my friends were thinking I'm crazy because there's all these people I don't know have already departed. They're just around the house.
Right.
Mhm.
And then
And we had
couple
a
that.
lot of bound familiars and stuff around the house too, and spirits that worked with us. So there's all these things wandering around the premises that half the family sees and the other half doesn't.
That's wild.
Oh yeah.
And then on top of it, I see auras around people.
Yep.
And so it's like,
Mhm.
I can totally see auras, and couple that with auras. And then, of course, I can talk to dead people, and then and as I told Chris and Chrissy, it's like, I try to be a good witch, but there's oftentimes I'm human that, it's like, oh, that, energy ball starting. And I'm like, okay, I need to calm down a little bit,
Oh yeah.
So,
My mentor had a bad habit of fixing people. If their was out of whack, she would sit there and do energy work and fix their energy without asking.
oh no. Oh no.
It'd be one of those where it's like that somebody comes in and she's like, "This person just feels
Hi, Chris.
like there's
no,
Velcro and mud on them." Who?
This is a picture of him with his aura.
Yeah, I remember that picture. That is awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, and there's another one too that I will find here. It just comes up by himself. It's like, why is it coming up?
I love that picture. That is so. And when you showed that to me last time, I was like, that is incredible.
Yeah, it was when when I took the picture, I didn't even notice it. And then we was just looking back at pictures that day. It's like, oh my God, look at that.
That's incredible. Yeah, the second one that you showed me that was Chris too. That's incredible too.
Yeah, I'm trying to see which one. There
Nico,
it is.
they did that too with me when I was telling Chrissy and Chris that we have a show that we're doing in Tombstone. Yeah, that's
wow.
This one.
I love that one. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
I have a similar couple of pictures where it was like 3 different people took photographs of me in this building that had a lot of paranormal activity, and you clearly can see my spirit guides like totally like coming through me. And there's like literally 5 lines literally coming through me. The director of the show was like floored. He's like, "What is that?" I go, "Those are my spirit guides. That they're totally, and it's not like an aura. It's like they're literally intersecting me and going out of my body." It was wild. I love those photographs.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'll have to send it to you. I'll send it to Chrissy and through Messenger so you can see them. 3 separate people in 3 separate times, 3 separate people. One with a camera, one with a cell phone, and I think the other one might have been a camera as well too.
Wow.
So it's like you can't debunk it by saying it's live. And so it's pretty incredible. I'll send them to Chrissy so you can see them.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely sure with you, Nick. So, well, we're coming to an hour and a half, and God, it's been really good and great, and
fun.
We've been celebrating because it's Happy National Paranormal Day, guys!
Yay!
So, I hope we didn't scare anybody in the audience. It's all good, we promise you.
Exactly.
But if you do get scared, call on Tracy's and Meeting Red's team. They will come and help you out in a mess. So let me see. Before we go, let me see. I want to. Let me see. I know I have your YouTube here. I just want to share that real fast too. There we go. Okay, let me get it up here. Okay. So they got some videos out. This is their YouTube channel. There you go. And we are podcasting from behind the witch's veil, which is Nico's and my daughter's channel that is brand new. So please subscribe to that channel as well. And let me see if I can send that out. If I can find it. Let me see. Here we go. I think I'm getting too many subscriptions here. So. Okay, here we go. Okay, so subscribe to all these channels.
Yay!
We are giving you a lot to learn and everything. And having a blast doing it.
Oh yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Any last words from anybody?
Nope. Thank you so much for having us on. I appreciate it. And happy Paranormal Day.
Yes, happy Paranormal Day. Thank you very much.
And thank you for coming on and for the last minute. I'm sorry. I was blaming Nick, but okay. I'm taking the blame for it. I can't let my little cousin take the blame for it. So
it was fun.
Mutual. We're sitting there like she's like Chrissy's sitting there like, do you think we can round up some people to talk about some ghost stories? And I was like, it's worth a shot. Like I'll put out some feelers, we'll see who we get.
Yeah, exactly.
It was our pleasure.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Thank you guys again. Appreciate it. Bye, Chris.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye, Drew.
Thank you.
I saw Drew on there too.
Okay, well, we're going to blessings to everybody. We're going to go.
Blessings to you.
And sweet
Yeah.
dreams, and don't be too scared, you guys.
They know the dolls. Yes.
Yeah,
Watch
don't
out for the
have any
dolls.
hotels.
Except for Mrs. Beasley. If you have a Mrs.
Yeah.
Beasley, hug her. She needs a
That's
hug.
right. She's innocuous.
It's haunted.
It's haunted. So,
And give it to the neighbor kids that you don't like.
Oh, Chris.
okay,
Take this home to your mom.
I
and
think
dad.
that was a note to say goodbye to everybody. Blessings.
Great goddess, I am so thankful to have you guiding me, protecting me. I am so thankful to have you guiding me, protecting me. I am